2034 is the year. This was announced yesterday. I'm not kidding. This is a real announcement. The Chicago White Sox announced that Jerry Reinsdorf is selling the team to Justin Ishbia no later than 2034. Hold on. I'm not laughing. I want to do that in a better way. This is serious. Talking about somebody who's 89 years old, who's owned the team since the 80s. This is way more serious. This is a monumental moment. Jerry Reinsdorf, the Jerry Reinsdorf, the man with the ring on all of his fingers on his left hand and two of his fingers on his right hand, telling us it's time to sell the White Sox. After I've told you from the beginning that his estate plan was clear from the start, and he's been public about it, and all you have to do is read his threats. When you threaten to move the White Sox, when you say you need a new ballpark for the White Sox, and then you say if you don't get that new ballpark, who knows? I may have to sell, and if I have to sell to somebody, who knows what their loyalty is to Chi-Town. So we know that the Bulls are staying in the family, and Michael Reinsdorf, his son, will become the controlling owner, and we know as part of the estate plan, the White Sox will be sold. This is not an epiphany, normal estate planning, all good. Here's what we didn't know. We didn't know that Jerry Reinsdorf would find some guy, and Justin Ishbia is the perfect candidate. If you haven't listened to Pablo Torre Finds Out episode on Matt Ishbia and the Ishbia brothers and the business they do and what they do and how they do it, then you're missing out on something. Suffice it to say, when Ishbia goes before MLB to get approved, he's going to get approved. That said, Steve Cohen got approved. So what I'd like you to focus on is the structure of this deal. Because when Jerry Reinsdorf announced what happened, you would think that it got the attention of, oh, Jerry's selling the team. And fans would say, oh, thank God. We lost 121 games last year. We haven't won a World Series since '05. We stink, we stink, we stink. We've got the greatest ownership family coming in. Look what they did for Phoenix, those brillantes. We're going to come in and sign somebody like Trout. They signed Durant. We're going to make a ton of trades, and we're going to be going for it. Oh, and then we're going to be the Padres and have to trade everyone away because we didn't get anywhere. I think that you are all in Chicago in for an unpleasant surprise in two regards. One, Jerry Reinsdorf's not going anywhere. On the unfortunate day when he passes away, that is when the team is going to go to Justin Ishbia. This is a pre-death change of control step transaction for estate planning deal. That's it. This is a deal that Jerry Reinsdorf was forced into doing for myriad financial issues because in the small print of the announcement was that Mr. Ishbia is making his first payment this coming year, 2025, to help cover some of the operating losses that everyone claims don't exist, and I told you do exist. And just because you have billions of dollars worth of teams doesn't mean you have billions of dollars worth of cash. You may live like you do because you've borrowed against assets that are clearly worth more than what you paid for them. But until you monetize those assets, you're simply borrowing money to live the life that you would live had you sold the assets, and you get to live without selling the assets. Until the day comes that the assets that you pledged are not worth what you thought, and then you're back to frontier, baby. So here's how it works. The agreement is that Justin Ishbia puts in money in 2025, 2026. He enters into a long-term agreement with Jerry Reinsdorf, and the agreement says, starting in 2029, 4 years from now, when Justin Ishbia will be on the other side of 50, Jerry Reinsdorf will have the sole option to sell controlling interest to Ishbia anytime between 2029 and 2033. That means Jerry Reinsdorf, who's 89 now, will be anywhere between 93 and 97. If he wakes up at 94 years old and says, my God, who needs this Surus? Who can stand these 90 to 100 lost seasons? I've had so many. He could, it's called put the team to Justin Ishbia. The team during that period may not be called away from Jerry Reinsdorf. Justin Ishbia can't wake up in 2029 and say, I want to run the team now. You're out. He does not have that right. Jerry Reinsdorf has the right to call up Justin Ishbia and say, I don't want the team anymore. It's yours. Then when you get to 2034, when Jerry Reinsdorf will be 98 years old, 2 years shy of a century, the team goes to Justin. Here's how that works. If Justin in 2034 wakes up and Jerry is still alive and says, that price seems a little high that I agreed to. I really don't want the Chicago White Sox. Guess what the agreement says? Justin Ishbia has the right to not take the White Sox in 2034. But Reinsdorf doesn't have the right to block him if he wants them. And all of that only happens in 9 years when Jerry's 98. In the years preceding that, it's all Jerry's call. It's Jerry's world, and we're not talking Texas. Jerry gets to say, I'm out or I'm in, and there's not one thing Ishbia or the NBA can do about it. And so there's a lot of PR coming out of Reinsdorf. I'm going to start with his quote and what he said. He said, having the incredible opportunity to own the Chicago White Sox and be part of Major League Baseball for nearly 50 years has been a life-changing experience. I've always expressed my intent to operate the White Sox as long as I am able and remain committed to returning this franchise to the level of on-field success we all expect and desire. Boy, that's quite a nothing burger statement, isn't it? How many times has he given that statement when he's fired Ken Williams, when he fires managers, when he trades players, signs players? We always get the same thing. We want to return this franchise to the level of on-field success, copy-paste. Darn it, Coca, 4869. We want to return this franchise to the level of on-field success, copy-paste. We all expect and desire, copy-paste. Buried in that statement was the fact that he always expressed his intent to operate the White Sox as long as he's able, as long as he's got a heartbeat. Hold on. Can you fog up a mirror? Hell yeah. Let's sign some more players. Let's trade some more players and still be bad. Now, what happens if, God forbid, Jerry passes away before 2029? Not mentioned, but you can bet your sweet Bippy if that would happen, then Justin Ishbia would get that team. So, what does it actually mean? Does it mean that Jerry Reinsdorf will work with Justin Ishbia on who's going to be signed and traded before 2029 or before 2034? Does Justin Ishbia get a seat at the table at owners' meetings? So the way this really works is that you can bring a limited partner to an owners' meeting with permission from Rob Manfred. The limited partner cannot go into the small meeting where it's just one per club, the controlling owner. The limited partner can't raise his hand if he's sure about a vote or ask a question. Limited partner can come to a dinner, shake some hands, and that's about it. And that's if you're lucky and the general partner allows you to do it. The limited partner can't call the general partner and say, please sign John Cocktoaston. Nope, can't do it, no matter what your step transaction is. So the power of Justin Ishbia is not very great. People have said, well, that's because Jerry wants to be very involved in the new collective bargaining agreement negotiation. He wants to be very involved in who the next commissioner is going to be. Well, it may or may not be true that Rob Manfred's going to stop being commissioner for 2029. Maybe, maybe not. What I do know is the last time there was opening for commissioner, Jerry Reinsdorf did not get his way. He didn't want Rob Manfred as commissioner, and he fought it every step of the way, and we beat him. He lost. Shocked in Baltimore during the voting for a new commissioner that he did not win. I was sitting right 2 feet from him as we were voting and voting and voting. And you remember what happened, the final vote, when he was sure Rob would not get the votes. And I looked at him and winked and I said, you're going to lose this one. The Washington Nationals voted for Rob Manfred. It was done. He got the necessary votes. Reinsdorf was so angry. He barely has spoken to me since, which of course has nothing to do with nothing personal unless it does. So Jerry Reinsdorf hanging around because he wants to be involved and is going to be very influential in the next commissioner and in the next CBA, that's not it, folks. I promise you. What it is that Jerry Reinsdorf likes owning a team and operating a team, and good for him. I'm not a big fan of anybody retiring. What's the need to retire? As far as I'm concerned, you should continue to do what it is you love to do. He's earned that right, and he absolutely loves it. The other factor that you need to think about if you are listening to us, and yes, about 2% of you are, which is great. Maybe it's more. No, I think in the Phoenix area, as I recall, you know that we talked a little bit about the fact that the Ishbia family owns the Suns, and we know that Justin is part of the Suns. Now, do you think that Matt Ishbia will be involved in the White Sox? Or do you think that Matt Ishbia will just do the Suns and then Justin Ishbia will just do the White Sox? A family of brothers operating two different teams separately? I guess there's a world in succession where that's the case. But the true reality is that brothers, while they do communicate, they tend to run their own businesses if they are separate, even in the same industries. I would expect Matt to stay focused on the Phoenix Suns, and I would expect Justin to try, when he takes over, to focus solely on the White Sox. It is a positive for their family net worth. It is a diversity of acquisition by going to a different league. But man, that transaction was so entirely misunderstood when it was announced yesterday. Like it was a breaking story. Get on Chicago radio. Get on your podcast, Emergency Pod. Reinsdorf is selling the White Sox. That's not what happened at all.